Why do heroes fall? There are countless stories where a character begins as a heroic figure, but then, through the course of the story, descends the moral ladder into anti-heroism or even outright villainy. This can be done in many ways, some obvious and clear-cut, and others much more subtle. In some cases, the tragic hero's fall is so subtle that much of the audience doesn't even notice that they're no longer the hero they once were. I'm AJ, a filmmaker and storyteller, and today let's discuss tragic heroes by considering the 2024 film Dune Part 2. Spoilers ahead for the story of Dune, so be warned if you haven't read the book or watched the movies. The fall of Paul Atreides from hero to villain is an interesting one, since we as the audience are primed to cheer it on the whole way through. After all, his goals are sympathetic. He wants to survive and get justice for his murdered house. Who wouldn't want the same? As the film goes on, however, the means he uses to achieve his ends grow worse and worse. In the beginning, he openly reveals the manipulations of the Bene Gesserit and says that he is not the prophesied leader that the Fremen have been tricked into looking for.
I'm not the Mahdi. I'm not here to lead.
By the end, however, he is using the prophecies to make himself a religious leader who can overthrow an emperor and launch a blood-soaked jihad across the universe. While his basic goals do not change, the lengths he is willing to go to achieve those goals does. If you want to show a hero fall in your story, there needs to be a reason. You don't want your hero to just become bad simply because the plot demands it. You need to sow the seeds of that fall ahead of time. These seeds will give the audience the justification they need for the fall. This makes a fall, even a sudden and dramatic fall, much more believable. In Dune Part 2, the seeds of Paul's fall are his commitment to help the Fremen gain freedom, his desire for justice, and his love for Chani. These noble goals lead him farther and farther away from what is right, until he ends up betraying each and every one of them. Instead of freeing the Fremen, he uses them and turns them into his own personal army. Instead of gaining justice for his house, he gets revenge by massacring the Harkonnens in a brutal tit-for-tat. And instead of saving Chani, he betrays her trust and her values, then takes another woman as his bride. He sacrifices everything for his goals, but loses even them in the end. To make a hero's fall as tragic as possible, arrange for them to lose everything that they hold dear, even the things that they are giving away their morality to save. It will make the tragedy all the greater when they achieve their goal only to see how hollow it is in the end. A classic example of this is the story of Macbeth, as written by William Shakespeare. Macbeth sacrifices honor, morals, and friends in order to become king, but he even loses that kingship in the end. His achievement is empty and short-lived, and when the play ends, we as the audience are left pondering the flaws that led a great hero to become a treacherous tyrant. In the same way, Paul starts out as a hero. Even as he makes the choices that will lead him to villainy, there is still something in us that roots for him. Some of this comes from the fact that we've been cheering him on for the whole first movie, and some comes from the fact that his actions are framed in such an awesome way. Sure, he is knowingly using religion to incite people to kill in his name, but we like Paul. He was such a nice kid, and besides, Lisan al-Gaib! This is another aspect of the story of Paul becoming a villain that makes Dune so interesting. While in Macbeth and many other stories, we as the audience are hoping that the hero makes the right choice and doesn't fall, in Dune, we kind of want Paul to do it. If anything, we're upset with him for how much he keeps resisting the pull downwards. Yeah, he doesn't want to launch a holy war that will lead to innumerable deaths, but those Harkonnens have it coming. Just become the leader they all want and you can finally get revenge. Because Paul's opponents are the loathsome Harkonnens and the corrupt and weak Emperor, we want to see him destroy them and claim power. Even as he becomes a manipulator, destroyer, and tyrant, we cheer him on. The glorious visuals of sandworms going into battle, Atreides' banners waving, distracts us from the tragedy that is unfolding until the end. The moment when Chani, who's been used as an audience surrogate in a lot of ways throughout the film, finally leaves Paul as he claims the throne in the princess's hand, reveals just how far he has fallen. This creates an ending for the film that feels surprisingly disappointing. We expected a happy ending. After all, the good guys beat the bad guys, right? Instead, we get a much more somber ending, with our hero having achieved what he set out to do, yet having lost all that was most important in the process. So remember, if you want your story of a hero falling to be truly tragic, sow the seeds of that fall beforehand.
And then I will do what must be done.
And then let them achieve their goals while losing everything important in the process. I'm AJ, and I hope you found this lesson about storytelling from Dune Part 2 interesting. Who is your favorite tragic hero? Have you learned other lessons about storytelling from Dune? Let me know down in the comments below, and like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Now, go out there and create stories.